Hello, everybody. My name is Lucas. In November 2020, my brother Mateo contracted COVID-19 like so many of us did. But unlike most of us, he hasn't yet recovered. Mateo is now what is known as a COVID long hauler, a title given to those whose COVID symptoms last more than 3 months. So, yeah. In all this time, he's been documenting his ups, downs, victories, and setbacks through journals, medical records, and love letters to you, the listener. And if he's come to one conclusion, it is that COVID is stupid.
Hello, friends. Mateo here. Throughout the summer of 2025, I invited people to my house to have conversations about life, long COVID, and anything else that came up. These are people who knew me before and stuck with me since. People who have been a tangible part of my recovery story. And for each of them, I'm asking the same 3 questions. How did you find out I was sick? What can you tell me about some of those first times you saw me? And when people later asked, "How's Mateo?" what did you tell them? I'm honored to introduce you to somebody who I've talked about on the podcast before. This is the only person I know who can start a story. Well, the first time I broke my neck. When I say I've been talking to people who knew me before and stuck with me since, this is someone who meets that description 10 times over and then some. He also brings a perspective to this that is incredibly comforting. Being able to face an uncertain future, but having somebody next to you saying, "I went through something very similar and I know you can do it," that means so much. He's done so much for my attitude and resolve and has been a constant source of inspiration for me. Everybody, this is my friend Ed. How did you find out I was sick?
Brian Gillette.
Oh, really?
Yes. Brian and I have always been, I won't say best friends, but really close.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me one day, and it was during COVID, about 2020, probably somewhere around there. And he had told me that you caught COVID. At the time, I actually had COVID when he told me that.
Really?
And I was lucky enough, I did, at the beginning, they didn't have these shots to, none of that was preventative stuff. So when I had it the first time, I had a hard time breathing, and I got better within, say, 2 weeks. And I was just about back to normal. But then Brian called and said, "Hey, Mateo's not getting better. He's got what you call long hauler," which I knew nothing about it. So if you know me, I'm on my phone Googling, what does all this mean?
What can you tell me about some of those first times you saw me?
I'll be honest, at first it was a little heartbreaking because you were always, when we worked together, you were always this, I'm not sure how to word it, but outgoing, friendly, outspoken, theatrical. That's the word I was trying to think. Theatrical
That's
type
a good
person.
one.
Yeah. So you were always that guy. And then I saw you and I thought, oh my goodness. And right away, it was a flashback to me when I was paralyzed that this guy, it's going to be all attitude, all drive. Now, you, myself, a lot of people I know, will we ever be back to where we were? No. But you have to take what you have and work with that going forward. Everybody has to kind of figure out what their role in life is going to be given the situation, right? So like me, I have a hard time walking without pain. what do I do? So I don't go play fast pitch softball anymore. I don't run. I mean, it hurts to walk, let alone run. You know, if I ever have a fire in my house, I'm going to be in trouble because it'll take me a long time to get outside. But, you know, my point is you got to figure out in life what you want to be, you know, with the given circumstance you're in. So I look at you, Mateo, I've seen, you couldn't even talk. I mean, it sounded like you were sucking on helium balloons. And
Really?
oh my God, it was like squeaky voice. And I looked at you and the convulsion things that you do, and I thought, oh my God, that's horrible. But how will he come out of it? It's not what happened, it's what you're going to do with it. And I look at now you're doing these podcasts to help other people. That's incredible. I mean, I think what you're doing is incredible for other people. And that's what we do, I think. You know, what's the saying? If life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. You know, I see you doing that right in front of me. And I'm very inspired by that.
When people later asked, "How is Mateo?" what did you tell them?
That happened a lot. You know, all the GBL friends and all of our people that we knew together, they would all say, what kind of condition is Mateo in? My first thing is go see him. Why aren't you at his house to see him? You know, because that's what friendship is, you know. But what I would tell people is he's not good, you know, when I first saw you, but he's alive and his brain is working and he's going to get better. That's how I would describe you. Every single time I'd seen you. Now, remember, I was bouncing back and forth from Florida to here. Every time I saw you, it was so much better. I remember the first time I took you to physical therapy, okay, and we parked in the parking spot closest to the door. And it still took 20 minutes to get you out of the car into the facility. And I thought, I don't know that I was ever that bad, you know, but now look at you. You beat me out of the car into the restaurant half the time now. You're doing so much better, you know. So it's all, again, I'm going to say this a million times, everything is attitude. But what I just told people is please go see him. Because I can remember those days, you know, when you're laying there and you think, this was my life. Now I have no friends, no nothing, you know, no job, no. And you sit there and it's so easy to feel sorry for yourself in that situation, but you can't allow it. You know, the hardest thing for me, and this is a me thing, not most people, being in public in front of people and having people stare, you know, look at this guy, or, you know, because I don't walk normal. I know I don't walk normal. But to watch other people, it always has kind of bothered me. But you just got to push it out and think it's the way it is. I'm walking. There's a lot of people not walking at all. You know, the best thing, Mateo, that ever happened to me when I was first paralyzed, I had Dr. DeGravels ran the rehabilitation center. And he said to me, I'm laying in bed and I felt myself feeling sorry for myself and, oh, I'm going to be paralyzed my whole life and blah, blah, blah. He said, this is an opportunity. You don't see it right now, but you have an opportunity to, how do you want people to remember you? You know, when you're dead and gone, people are going to remember you. How do you want them to remember you? Wow. And that stuck with me. I thought, you know, you can lay there and feel sorry for yourself and not do anything, or you can, it still might not make you any better, but you can work your butt off and try to get to that point. You know, even if it doesn't do any good, mentally it does, because you know you're trying. But that was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me, having that doctor say that to me.
Way to go, Dr. DeGravels.
Right, right. Because, again, I saw so many people just give up, and I thought, that's not going to be me.
I find it fascinating how we can hear something and tie our horse and cart to it, right, and see how far we can ride with it.
That's the beauty of what you're doing right now, Mateo. You're out here talking to people in the same situations. Some of the things you say are going to stick to these people, and they're going to hear these things, and they're going to go, well, if Mateo can do it, I can do it. Or they'll think, you know what, Mateo is right. I can lay here and give up, or I can work my butt off. You're doing that every one of these podcasts, and people are hearing it. I can promise you people are attaching to that, just like I did with Dr. DeGravels or with Chris Norton or with you. You know, these things attach to me just like the things you're saying to these people are attaching to them.
That's awesome. And not only for your time today, but all the time you've spent with me for the past 5 years. Thank you so much.
Well, here's what I really believe, and I believe this with every fiber. It might be next year, it might be the year after, but you're going to be walking and you're going to be talking normally. They'll figure this out. The longer we're here on Earth, the medical world is progressing. You know, they're like, in my case, hell, they might have new spinal column transplants, you know, that would help me. In your case, they'll come up with new things. You and I just hang out a couple more years and we're going to be back to normal. I truly believe that.
Yeah, well, once I am walking without the canes, you and me, foot race.
That would be exciting as hell. Can you imagine you and I racing right now? With a new world record of 25 minutes to make it up the stairs.
The 25, yeah. The one flight dash.
Well, you know, it's good that we can both laugh about it. I am sure your listeners appreciate you so much. I know I do.
I'm going to wrap things up here. To all you amazing long haulers, this was a really wonderful conversation, and I'm so glad you were able to listen in. I love you all. I see you all. I would hug you all if I could. Strength and health. COVID is stupid.
Well, how about that? Not only a masterclass in positivity and perspective, but from a man who has been through the fire. I have been fortunate thus far in my life to not have broken my neck, but fortune doesn't only come from the absence of misfortune. Sometimes they're the yin and yang that show the heart of the other. So thank you, Ed, and thank you, Mateo, for having him. If you're enjoying the interview series on COVID is Stupid, tell us what you like, or tell us what you don't like, or what we can do better. There's no wrong reason to email us at covidis2020@gmail.com. And that's stupid with 2 O's, not a U. We're also still dropping by the social media parties, as well as podcasting in all the lesser-known corners of the internet. So all you gotta do is find and follow COVID is Stupid. Well, that's all out of us in this first show of 2026. We hope that whatever you have resolved to do, it's still intact. And if it's not, I hope you don't let that get you down. And while I'm at it, I hope you've made it a point to make a habit out of catching up with COVID is Stupid.